Hey everyone, today we'll talk about the infamous Nashorn tank destroyer, but before we do that I would like to thank everyone for the support recently. It means the world to me and I hope we can hit the 10 subs at the end of the month. If you're interested in my socials, they will be somewhere up in the screen. Now let's begin. The Nashorn was a heavy tank destroyer. Its main aim was to destroy oncoming unsuspecting tanks. This tank was produced by Germany in the Second World War and is hailed as one of the most effective and deadly tank destroyers of its respective era. It had an 88mm anti-tank cannon which was able to penetrate the heaviest World War II tanks at that time. The combination of the 88mm anti-tank gun and the monocular periscopic sight was a lethal one. It allowed the tank crew to spot and destroy a lot of tanks from extreme distances. To put this into perspective, the Nashorn held the longest tank-to-tank kill record in World War II at a mighty 5 kilometers. It was only bested by Challenger in the Iraqi War. During the 1936 to 1939 Spanish Civil War, it was learned that the high-velocity 8.8 cm flak gun made an excellent anti-tank weapon. And during the later stages of the war, the German army became increasingly reliant on the 88mm to counter the improving Allied tanks. The secondary weapons of the Nashorn were the MG32 and the MG42, and the Nashorn could carry up to 40 anti-tank rounds. The chassis was the one of the Panzer III and the Panzer IV combined. It had an angled armor shield around its main gun and had an open roof. The gun could go 15 degrees to the left and to the right and 30 degrees up and down. To create more space for the main gun, they moved the engine from the rear to the middle of the vehicle. As for the engine, the Nashorn had a 300 horsepower engine from Maybach, the same engine as the Panzerkampfwagen IV. It allowed it to run 40 km an hour on the road and 25 km an hour off-road. The maximum distance it could travel was 213 km on the road, and off-road that was reduced to 130 km. Its top speed was mainly allowed by its weight. If not for its thin armor, the Nashorn wouldn't be going anywhere. It is 26.5 tons, which isn't that heavy when you compare it to its brothers and sisters for that time. For example, the Panzerkampfwagen IV is only 1.5 tons lighter. The Nashorn could house up to 5 crew members. They had a driver, a gunner, a loader, a radio operator and a commander. This was very normal for the amount of crew members in a tank back in the day. Like I said earlier, the speeds of the Nashorn were partly to thank due to its thin armor. It only had 30mm of frontal armor, 30mm of side armor and 30mm of rear armor, which for a sniper tank is understandable. The first produced Nashorn tank was ready in 1943 and there were only 493 built throughout the course of the war, and to this day there are only 3 left. One in the United States, one in Russia and one in the Netherlands. They were used during the Normandy defense, the Italian defense and the Eastern Front. In conclusion, it was a very deadly tank, especially at long distances, but the tanks were produced in very low numbers, which made their impact on the war quite limited. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. Suggestions for the next subject can be left in the comments, and if I missed something, feel free to tell me, but just make sure you're respectful about it.